Good evening, council, staff, and members of the public. May I have a mover and seconder to call the meeting to order, please? I have councillors Moore and Thompson that the regular meeting of the Township of Springwater Council come to order at 6:34 p.m. All those in favor? And that has carried. Council, or please join me in the singing of O Canada. Council, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest this evening? Not seeing any. I will now ask for a mover and seconder to call the public meeting to order, please. I have Councillor Alexander and Councillor Thompson that the public meeting of council held under section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, CP 13, as amended for zoning bylaw amendments ZB 2026-002, on behalf of George Begley, owner of the subject land ZB 2026-003, by L. Swavel, Groundswell Planning Incorporated, on behalf of 1000940902, Ontario Inc., owners of subject lands, be called to order at 6:36 p.m. All those in favor? That has carried, and at this time, I am going to pass the chair to Councillor Garwood, who has agreed to help save my voice. So thank you, Councillor Garwood.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Welcome to this public meeting of Township of Springwater Council held in Section 34 of the Planning Act to give the public an opportunity to express their views in regards to the proposed application. The first part of the meeting is to present the proposed application. Following the public meeting, we'll be given an opportunity to make an oral submission through the Zoom application or in person. Any person wishing to make an oral submission is to have notified the township prior to 8:30 this morning and has been added to the commenters list. If a person or public body who files an appeal of a decision of the Township of Springwater in respect to the Planning App application and does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions to the Township of Springwater before the proposed amendments are passed, the Ontario Land Tribunal may dismiss all or part of the appeal. All comments or questions should be addressed through the chair. Oral submissions will be included in this meeting's minutes and form part of the public record, including the name and address of the speaker as information collected under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. The minutes of this meeting will be posted on the township's website. Our first application is ZB 2026-002, 121 Yonge Street South, BMR Pro. I will now call upon the clerk to confirm notice of this meeting and the dates on which notice was given.
Notice of this public meeting was mailed on the 11th day of March, 2026, to the owner of the subject lands and to the assessed owners of 12 properties in the Township of Springwater within 240 meters of the area to which the proposed application would apply, and to all persons and public bodies as prescribed under the Planning Act and its regulations. Notice was posted at the assessed property to which the proposed amendment applies, at locations visible from Yonge Street South and Floss Road 8 East. Notice was also posted on the Township website.
Has the Planning Department received any correspondence in response to the notice of public meeting?
Correspondence was received from the Township chief building official in an email dated March 12, 26, and from the township manager of development services in an email dated March 12, 2026. Both pieces of correspondence can be found attached to this evening's agenda.
I will now call on Planner Hawk to outline the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment. Planner Hawk?
Good evening, council, members of the public and staff. My name is Ariane. I'm the planner on this file, and I'll be doing the public meeting for application ZB 2026-002. Can I get the presentation? Okay. Thank you. Just next slide, please. The lands known as 121 Yonge Street South are home to BMR Pro and contain a retail store, building supply outlet, parking area, office space, storage warehouse, and outdoor storage areas. The lands have an approximate total area of 5.7 hectares, 14.1 acres, and are located just south of the Elmvale settlement area. The owner of BMR Pro is currently in the process of a site plan agreement, and through this review, it was discovered that there was a conformity issue with the zoning and the current use on the lands. Next slide, please. The purpose of application ZB 2026-002 is to rezone a portion of the subject lands from the highway commercial exception CH14 and CH15 zones to a highway commercial exception CHXX zone. This application was submitted to remove a prohibition for outdoor storage on the southwest portion of the subject lands and to match existing zoning on the adjacent lands containing the BMR site. The effect of the application will result in consistent zoning for the entirety of the parcel, matching the permitted uses within the adjacent agricultural exception 83 zone established in 2022 for the expansion lands. Next slide, please. The agent, Chris Youngkins, and myself are available should you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Planner Hawk. I will now call upon the moderator to provide the number of people who have registered to ask questions or make comments regarding this application.
Thank you, Chair Garwood. There have been no members of the public who have registered to make comment on this application.
Thank you. And are there other individuals who are present here tonight who would like to make an oral submission regarding this public meeting? Seeing none, do any members of council have any questions or comments regarding this application? Councillor Fisher.
Thank you. Just a quick comment. I think it's a very vibrant business within the community. I know I've shopped there myself and bought lumber, so I'd certainly like to see it go forward, to see them able to expand. You'd hate to see a business like that landlocked and not able to grow. I think when we see growth within Springwater at both ends, it's a viable business that can grow along with the community. So I'd like to see that go through.
Are there any other members of council that have any questions this evening? Seeing none, I'm also just going to make a comment. BMR Pro has been a great local community business, has supported not only the Elmvale community, but the entirety of Springwater Township for decades. And I know this has been a long-term vision for the family and the business, and this is exactly the direction that I think is a benefit for everybody. So I agree with Councillor Fisher, and I'm excited to see us get closer to this project being a reality. So thank you. Thank you to all who participated in the public meeting with respect to the proposed ZB 2026-002 121 Yonge Street South application and for showing interest in this matter. Our second application this evening is ZB 2026-003 1897 Nursery Road, Compass Resorts. I now call upon the clerk to confirm notice of this meeting and the dates on which notice was given.
Notice of this public meeting was mailed on the 11th day of March 2026 to the owner of the subject lands and to the assessed owners of 7 properties in the township of Springwater within 240 meters of the area to which the proposed application would apply, and to all persons and public bodies as prescribed under the Planning Act and its regulations. Notice was posted at the assessed property to which the proposed amendment applies at a location visible from Nursery Road. Notice was also posted on the township's website.
Has the planning department received any correspondence in response to this notice of public meeting?
Correspondence was received from the Township Manager of Development Services in an email dated March 12, 2026, and from the Township Township Chief Building Official in an email dated March 19, 2026. All of the correspondence can be found attached to this evening's agenda.
I will now call on Agent Lucila Sandoval to outline the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, staff, and public that are here tonight. My name is Brad Rogers from Groundswell Urban Planning, and I'm here with my business partner, Lucila Sandoval, who has been working actively on the project on the day-to-day. Nick Romero from MTE, who is our civil engineer from London, Ontario, is here virtually if there are any questions from an engineering. Our team consisted of a number of consultants for this project and
Next
this
slide.
application.
Next slide.
Oh, sorry, yeah. The consulting team consisted of MTE Consultants, Azimuth Environmental, EME Engineering, and JD Engineering. This is the site. The property, as you're all aware, I'm sure, has direct frontage onto Nursery Road. The property is approximately 2 kilometers north of Highway 26. And geographically, the property abuts the Midhurst Community Settlement Area boundary to the west, and it's surrounded by large parcels of agricultural and environmental lands. Next slide, please. The subject site is just over 40 acres in size. It's rectangular in shape. And as you're all aware, the property has some history as it's formerly housed the Splash Canyon Water Park and Campground, which had 184 campground sites, a road pattern through the development, a substantial water park facility, and a licensed outdoor patio with a capacity of 438 people. There is also a stormwater management pond and a septic system on the property. Since the closure of the park, a number of the abandoned buildings and the facilities have remained on site. Next slide, please. These are this is the photographs of what is there today, and a number of the pools are abandoned. Garbage is collecting and the overgrown vegetation. We are looking at a cost of approximately $500,000 to excavate the infrastructure, remove the buildings and the pools, and all that will be left on site is the existing weeping bed will remain on site. Next slide. This is the site plan overlay. So the proposed development would significantly revitalize the property. The proposed development, although proposes a few additional campground sites, the impact and the usage of the property is much less than a visit to the water park and campsites. The proposed development is for 199 park model trailer units. The reuse of an existing stormwater management pond, of various amenity areas, which would include a pool, a playground, tennis facilities, pickleball courts, and a shared community garden. The intent is to provide seasonal, year-round living as the surrounding area offers seasonal recreational opportunities and activities. This is not intended to be the user's primary residence. The proposal also includes the protection of the environmental lands in the southwest corner of the property. Next slide, please. There's some visuals of the park model trailers. Next slide. This slide shows a graphical representation of the potential layout of the trailers. Each lot is 15.2 meters wide, which is 50 feet. And the units are laid out. There are options for the future users to add a deck, either to the front or the side of the trailer, and a parking pad to accommodate 2 cars per unit, and an area also for a shed. So these are could be single units or they could be double units wide. Next slide. So the 2018 official plan designates the property tourist, recreational, commercial, natural heritage with a small pocket of rural designation. The tourist, recreational, commercial designation permits a variety of accommodations, including a campground, tourist cabins or a lodge, permits private parks, places of entertainment among the users that will serve as a tourist and the recreational market. So the proposal that we're proposing does conform to the 2018 Springwater official plan, and no amendments to your official plan are needed or proposed. Next slide. This is the township official plan from 2023, which is subject to county approval. And in accordance with the township official plan, the property continues to be designated tourist, recreational, commercial, with the same uses permitted as found in your 2018 official plan. So this proposal also conforms to your 2023 official plan, and no amendments to that official plan are needed or proposed. Next slide. County of Simcoe official plan designates the subject lands as green lands, and it's a similar use as in regards to what was allowed in the local official plan will continue. The county official plan does not prevent the continuation of legally existing uses. And additionally, there is a portion of the lands that continue to be protected by the environmental protection land use, and it is underscored in the local official plan. So this proposed use does conform with the 2023 County of Simcoe official plan, and no amendments to the county official plan are proposed. Next slide. So the property is currently zoned campground, commercial, exception 6, and environmental protection. And the application before you tonight is to rezone the property to park model trailer commercial, CMP zone, and retain the existing environmental protection zone. It has not changed. That concludes my presentation, Madam Mayor, Mr. Chair, members of council, and I'm pleased to answer any questions that anyone from council may have.
Thank you both for being here this evening. I now call upon the moderator to provide the number of people who have registered to ask questions or make comments regarding this application.
Thank you, Chair. There are no members of the public who've registered to make an oral submission.
Are there any other individuals who are present here tonight who would like to make an oral submission regarding this public meeting? Seeing none, do any members of council have any questions or comments regarding this application? Councillor Moore.
Thank you. Through you, Councillor Garwood. Curious, in the slides, it does talk about seasonal and year-round living, and that these park models will be designed for 4-season living. So then it will be a maintained campground all year round. So snow removal, all of that will continue to happen. How are we going to manage people when you say that it's not their primary residence? How are we going to manage a primary residence versus just visiting on weekends?
I'm not sure how your bylaws officer would manage that, to be quite honest, Counselor, through you, Mr. Chair. But the intent here is not to be their primary home. So they would have another home, and so this would be more like a cottage. So we're envisioning, and we don't know this for certain, but we're envisioning that most of the people that would live here could travel south in the wintertime, or there are some people who would love to stay here and do winter activities. And some of them might have a cottage or not sure. So good question. Not quite sure how to enforce that, but that's something that we can have further discussions on if you'd like.
Follow on, Councillor Moore?
Thank you. I love the idea. Let me just, I love the idea and I think it could really fill a gap for affordable housing and sort of all of those sort of more disadvantaged folks. I think it's a fantastic opportunity. And it also revitalizes some decrepit property that we've been looking at for some time. So I love that and I love your vision. I just am trying to sort through how we allow it to be sort of a four-season campground and yet make sure that it's not being used as a primary residence. So I think you're right. I don't know if there's maybe planning could speak to that for us. Is there some rezoning that could be applied for as far as that goes? I don't know.
I can direct that question through to our planning department, either through CEO Forfar or one of our planners.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's several ways we could regulate the site. So there's the zoning bylaw, which as it is today, it only permits park model trailers as a seasonal use. How that's defined, it's not as stringent as our other bylaw, the business licensing bylaw, which regulates campgrounds and park model trailers. That bylaw currently limits these sites to be occupied 270 days out of the year, is my understanding.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher?
Thank you. I think it's a great idea. These types of communities are actually becoming very popular. I see a lot in Southern Ontario. I was about to say, usually they're regulated by days per year by the campground operator. That's how they seem to be done. But I think it's a great use of the site. I think that a lot of retirees are gravitating towards this. Again, I've seen a lot in Southern Ontario. And I'd really like to see this go through. As Councillor Moore said, the site really is sitting derelict right now. And what other uses could you really see in there? So I think it's a great use of it. I also find too, if you visited sites like this, which I have, the maintenance on them is usually quite good. So the upkeep, there's usually almost like an HOA, it's very strict, 2 cars per driveway. There's only so many things. Even your decks, there's certain specifications. So I think it's very good. And just a question. These are all permanent sites. There's no transients coming, like trailers being pulled in and out, overnight camping.
The trailers do come on wheels, so they
Mhm.
could be pulled
Yeah.
in and out. So that
Right.
definitely
Not overnight camping.
possibility.
Like they're
Not
permanent.
overnight at
Okay,
all.
yeah.
No.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fisher. Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Councillor Garwood. So through the chair to Mr. Rogers, thank you for coming tonight. A great presentation. I find this very exciting. I know it's kind of 3 years in the coming, and it's great to see you guys before council. You certainly have my support. Just a question I do have, it may be for council's information. This is not their Compass Resource first project like this. They have much experience in this and have had a lot of success in these types of projects, correct?
That's correct, Councillor Thompson, through the chair. Compass Resorts does own and operate several campgrounds that, so they do have the experience like this. Some of the other campgrounds that they do have, they open on May 1st and they close on November 1st, and that's it for the season. The gate goes down. We're not envisioning that here at all. So we're envisioning 4-season use. There is 270 days that is permitted in your bylaw, and we're happy to work with council and staff on regulation of that, but it will not be their primary home.
Thank you. Are there any other members of council who have questions or comments regarding this application? Seeing none. No, I think it's a great application as well. I'm in full support of it at this time. I believe to add on to what council's comments were, it also builds community, and I think that's an important aspect, right? In my ward, we have Wasaga Pines, and same thing. Great little community. Folks have moved there. They have downsized. They have built a little community within a community, and it's pretty special. So I'm hopeful that this space will mimic that. We drive by it every single day on the way here, and it will be nice to see something more lively in this space. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to all those who have participated in the public meeting with respect to the proposed ZB 2026-003 1897 Nursery Road, Compass Resorts application, and for showing an interest in the matter. May I have a mover and seconder to adjourn the public meeting? Councillor Thompson, Mayor Coughlin, that this public meeting of council held under Section 34 of the Planning Act for ZB 2026-002, 121 Yonge Street South, BMR Pro, and ZB 2026-003, 1897 Nursery Road, Compass Resorts, does now adjourn at 6:56 p.m. All those in favor? And that is carried. And I now pass the chair back to Mayor Coughlin.
Thank you, Councillor Garwood. May I have a mover and seconder for the direction following the public meeting? Councillor Fisher and Councillor Moore, that council having held a public meeting in accordance with Section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 CP 13, as amended for a zoning bylaw amendment ZB 2026-002 by C. Junkin on behalf of G. Bagley, owners of the subject lands, having noted correspondence and input received, to direct that the application be referred back to staff. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? And that is carried. And a mover and seconder for the second, please. Councillor Garwood, Councillor Alexander, that council having held the public meeting in accordance with Section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 and CP 13 as amended for zoning bylaw amendment ZB 2026-003 for the groundswell planning on behalf of 10009400902 Ontario Inc., having noted correspondence and input received, to direct that the application be referred back to staff. Comments or questions? All those in favor? And that has carried. At this time, we will now move on to question period, and I will turn to Deputy CAO for any submissions.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. We have received 2 submissions for this evening's meeting. Both are in person here this evening to provide their submissions. The first would be Esther Allen of 28 Boothby Crescent.
Good evening, Miss Allen.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I have a lot to say in 3 minutes, so I hope I don't talk too fast. I apologize in advance. I'm Esther, and I'm a resident of Boothby Crescent. I'm here to speak to the staff report that is dated March 13th, 2026 regarding the Ontario Land Tribunal's final order for the Galabier Lewis Pit expansion. The report from that release date represents this as a resolved matter and that the air quality problems have been solved, and I'm here to tell you that is not the case. For several years, the township and residents, I felt, were aligned in our concern with the Lewis Pit expansion. Residents like myself had been inundated with dust that experts at the OLT called the worst they had ever seen. We now know that that silica dust we have routinely breathed in is a carcinogen. We went together to the tribunal in September of 2025, and then, without warning, the township withdrew from the OLT proceedings at the outset of the hearing, before any dust plan was presented or finalized. Our dust expert did not sign off on the original dust management plan for obvious reasons. The applicant, Galabier, their engineer, arrived without a plan and blamed nearby agricultural fields as our dust problem. He did later rescind that upon cross-examination at the OLT. So us residents were left to represent ourselves with little to no support. The dust management plan that ultimately formed the basis for approval was developed without township's participation. The plan includes 3 key measures, notably a targeted air monitoring program, a high-volume MECP-approved sampler that is meant to measure PM10 and crystalline silica, with quarterly reports being sent to yourselves at the township and also us residents of Boothby. That system is not operational, yet the pit is. While some equipment has recently been installed, no data is being shared, no reporting has occurred, and there is no clear complaint process that we have been informed of. Most importantly, there's no commitment from the township to monitor or enforce air quality in our neighborhood, and as you know, the MNR refuses to do so. This is not a new issue. For 6 consecutive years, the residents of Boothby Crescent have experienced repeated dust events. I have spoke here about them many times. Most recently, on March 11th, 2026, dust again was deposited onto our properties. We reported it to the Spills Action Center, as this is the only avenue we have been given. And I want to be clear, this is entirely predictable. Our first complaint was in April of 2020, then March 13th of 21, March 14th, 22, March 18th, 23, March 3rd, 24, March 9th, 25, and then on March 11th, 2026, almost like clockwork. We have experienced in excess of 75 carcinogenic dust releases to our homes over the last 6 years. You have all seen the photos, and the outcome has consistently been the same for residents: zero meaningful response. Following the March 11th release, the MNR paid a visit to the site 5 days later and noted many exposed faces and referenced recent snow and rain conditions as mitigation. I guess Mother Nature was helping them that day. What it did not include was a reference to the required dust management plan, such as the approved surfactant and the air monitoring device. Of course, when I inquired, I was advised that the ministry will not review or enforce the dust management plan until it is formally incorporated into the 3560 license, which could take years. That pit apparently has 8 more operational years. During the OLT proceedings,
We're at 3.5.
Galavier, their legal,
We're at 3.5, so I'm just gonna ask you if there's a end
Okay.
request. My apologies.
They will not enforce the dust management plan until it's on the license, and it's not on the license yet. The ministry will not enforce it, even though the pit operators, their legal counsel, and everybody agreed to put it on. I would also like to note that expansion began on the week of March 23rd, and all of the areas behind our homes were cleared. There was an inclusion in the site plan that a sediment and erosion control fence had to be installed. That was not. I called the ministry on that, of course, as well, and I was told it was the township's responsibility. I phoned the township, I was told it was the county's responsibility. I phoned the county, came out, thankfully, and actually issued a cease order today, because apparently they were doing all of that clearing without a permit. So just more progression of their lack of compliance. I brought a number of photos here tonight that I will share because I did not have time to send this in advance. But essentially, I'm here tonight to ask the township who is going to support us with this. As residents, we have literally navigated and managed most of this by ourselves. If I wasn't calling township, if I wasn't calling the ministry, if I wasn't calling Simcoe County, who's controlling this? We literally have a soon-to-be moon space in our backyards within arm's reach of our homes, and nobody's doing anything. And this applicant has not only cleared land in excess of what they should have cleared, they've cleared it without a permit. They've taken down trees that they shouldn't have taken down, and they haven't even put in the dust management plan that was the only bulletproof solution, according to the chair at the OLT, that was going to help us residents. And we have dust. We still have dust to this day. So we're frustrated. We're financially exhausted. We're mentally exhausted. We went to the OLT alone. And then the ministry shows up 5 days later and issues a pathetic report that says, yeah, there's snow and rain. There's no dust. What are we to do as residents? So I wasn't able to provide this in advance of the meeting. Obviously, I have questions and need answers. I've provided the dust management plan that was approved as part of the OLT, the site plan that is not being worked to per the operator license that now has a cease and assist, and a number of photos that you can see of the mess that is our homes now. We are Springwater residents and we feel abandoned by our township.
And that information you're gonna send, thank you. And I do apologize for having to let you know when it's.
It's
the ti-
okay. It
I'm
threw me
just
off,
trying
but then
to-
it made
I
me
apologize,
go-
but, so
go
that
wrong.
information will be sent then through to our deputy CAO to be sent to the rest of council.
I can send it, or I'm happy to leave this with you in hard copy tonight to be included in tonight's notes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilor Moore?
Outside of protocol, normally we don't speak at this time, but I really feel compelled to just recognize and acknowledge what you have done and your small and mighty group who I don't think the community at large recognizes the work and effort that you've put into this. It is mind blowing what you have been able to achieve. And I know that you don't feel like you've achieved everything, but you really have. Like I say, it's a win with conditions. But I just want to acknowledge just how hard you have worked and everybody here that has supported you. It's a small and mighty group, like I say, and I don't think, I mean, I follow the meetings. I go to the OLT meetings with you. We communicate a lot, but I don't do the work that you do. And I just feel like you're under-recognized and underappreciated. So I just really wanted to acknowledge Esther and her group for that. It's a hard battle. It really feels like, is that Simon and who was it, and Goliath?
David and Goliath.
David and Goliath. That's what it feels like when I think of you guys as David. But it hurts me also to know that you're still struggling, even though the dust management program was supposed to be in place. That was sort of the bulletproof, what I thought too was going to be the answer to all of the concerns, and it hasn't been. So I really do feel for you for that too. And if there's anything I can do, you know, you can always reach out to me.
I appreciate that.
Councillor Fisher.
Just through you to any member of staff who can maybe answer this. It seems to me like a deal was struck, but they're not complying with it. You know, what can we do as a township to, I'll say, encourage, right? To encourage them to comply with, with I'll call it the deal that was struck. You know, what can we do? And I don't know who would be able to answer that, but yeah.
I don't know if I CEO for her.
Through your worship, members of council, we're happy to take a really good look at the package. I know this has been a very long and a very complex process. These types of applications are very, very challenging, and there's a lot of different agencies involved. We're more than happy to take a good look at a few of these pieces and try and get a better handle on timelines, including things like the license compliance pieces. I apologize, we don't have much else to offer this evening, but certainly happy to take a look at that package and get back to everybody on that.
You, Councillor Moore.
Just quickly, also recognizing that Director Russell's not here this evening, and he's the one that's been working on the file so closely for you. So unfortunately, I couldn't really direct any questions to him, but I'm sure he'll know that you were here. I mean, we told him that you were coming, and we'll wait for his response too.
We appreciate it. I mean, obviously eyes from a different level than a resident level is what needs to happen, right? It should not be left to the residents to be navigating and managing this by ourselves. The enforcement needs to happen from a governing body. So, thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, I'll turn to our Deputy CAO.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. We have a submission from John Spring of 2438 County Road 92.
First of all, Mayor Coughlin, I'd like to thank you for the quick reply to that question that in a letter that I gave you at last Wednesday's information meeting. There's just one thing, you did answer some of it, but not all of it. And this is what would like you to answer. We've lost that revenue stream from the land that Barry has annexed from us. We still have a budget that includes that land. My part of the question that I would like you to answer is, what is your plan to maintain services, if it's possible, without taxpayers being hit with more huge increases? How do you plan to keep those increases in check? And does that include shrinking the operating budget as we know it now? Or do you have another plan?
And in the first response, not the one that we received this week, the first response, it was outlined when the report would be coming to council. And I believe I'm going to confirm that it is April 15th, that it'll be coming to council for council to decide on how that legacy plan will be put in place. So it'll be on the next meeting of council.
Now, when you say, oh, I'm sorry. Can I,
Yep.
when you say legacy plan, would you define legacy for me, please?
I didn't draft the title of a report, so I can provide that information to you at the next meeting as to why that is being named that. But the report on how the money is going to be spent, how we're going to invest it to ensure.
No, I want to know about the money that we've lost from the land that was annexed
The
by
100 and
Barry, how it's going to reflect in the township budget.
and
Like,
that
what is the plan? Like, we can't have 12% increases year after year after year. It's unsustainable.
so that information will be coming to council at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Just two. Are there any other members of the public this evening that would like to ask comment or question? Not seeing any. We will now move on to our council minutes. May I have a mover and seconder for the minutes, please? Mover and seconder for the minutes, please. Councillor Fisher and Councillor Moore, that the minutes of council listed herein be approved as presented. 1, the minutes of the regular meeting of council of March 18th, 2026. 2, the minutes of the special meeting of council of March 18th, 2026. And 3, the minutes of the special meeting of council closed session, March 18th, 2026. Councillor, are there any comments or questions on the minutes? All those in favor? And that has carried. May I have a mover and seconder we are now moving on to our action reports, item 9.1. We have no minutes of boards and committees this evening. So moving on to item 9.1, a mover and seconder for our 2026 municipal and school board election. Councillor Fisher, Councillor Garwood, that the report from the deputy clerk regarding the 2026 municipal and school board election alternative voting methods dated April 1st be received, and option 1, in-person, electronic, and remote internet voting, 1 envelope system, and ID verification, staff recommended. That council authorize the use of in-person, electronic, remote internet voting utilizing a 1 envelope system with ID verification for the 2026 municipal and school board election, and that the contract be awarded to Votes, thank you, Inc. in the amount of 72,580,000. And that the bylaw authorizing the alternative voting method be presented to the council at the April 1st, 2026 regular meeting of council. Or there's option 2, that in-person, electronic, and remote internet telephone voting in a 2 envelope system, that council authorize the use of an in-person, electronic, and remote internet telephone voting utilizing the 2 envelope system for the 2026 municipal school board election, and that the bylaw authorizing the alternative voting method be presented for consideration at the April 1st, 2026 regular meeting of council. And at this time, I will open it up, and I do see that Deputy Cabral has joined us online. So comment, Councillor Garwood.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. First, I'd want to thank the Clerk's Department, the Deputy CAO, and everyone that has, I think, written up to 4 or 5 or 6 reports on this now. I am pleased that we've gone this direction. While it has been a cumbersome process at times, it has allowed us to get to a point, hopefully, where we can be relatively, as a collective, in agreement on a path forward. We have seen the options that are presented today have evolved from the original options that were presented in our first report, I believe, back in the fall. So again, I'm pleased that we've gone out and staff have really listened to council's feedback. And I think the majority of council's feedback has been what the public has asked us. We did put out public consultation, which again is so important that we are focusing on when it comes to selecting the method in which our community chooses its next council. I've said this before, I often find it's sometimes as a council, some of us would be participating in said election. So to choose the voting method is a challenging conversation, but at the same time, it's an important one. So I am going to put an option on the floor, understanding that I don't want that to stifle any conversation. I do believe option 1, which is the in-person electronic and remote internet voting, that's the one envelope system and ID verification. I am going to read just a short snippet from the report that really gives an idea to the public as to what that process and that experience would look like. So electors would receive one envelope with voting credentials and voting instructions, similar to what has occurred in the past. Once ready to vote, the elector would be required to enter their PIN, date of birth, and successfully complete the ID verification process to accessing the system to cast their ballot. The ID verification system requires electors to upload and an approved piece of ID, Ontario driver's license, Ontario photo card, Canadian passport, Canadian citizenship card, etc., which is validated by an authorized credential service provider along with a biometric litmus test. Identity verification is completed by comparing a live image of the individual to the photograph on the provided identification. Any personal data collected is retained only for the time required to verify identity. Once an elector has successfully completed the above steps, they may cast their ballot from their computer or smartphone. Electors who do not wish to utilize the online ID verification process may also choose to cast their ballot in person on a supplied device at a voting location during advance voting, or 3 locations on election day where election staff would validate their ID. So a couple things from that as well. From the last line there, it speaks to 3 locations on voting day, as council is not permitted to choose the number of locations and the identified locations that are being provided. This is an enhancement in service from what we've seen in the past. In the 2022 election, there was 1 in-person election day location, which was here at the administration center. There would now be 3, in addition to the voter information locations and help centers that are available during the pre-voting period. So again, I thank staff for the opportunity for this to come back. It's also the most cost-effective opportunity or option that has been presented at $82,580. And again, I'm hoping that we can go in this path. Thank you.
Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Councillor Garwood. I actually appreciate you doing an overview of it. I would second it as well. I do agree. I definitely had concerns with the voting methods before in terms of how valid they were. In reading this, I was apprehensive at first, but I think it does satisfy, say fraudulent, but questionable voting. I think it definitely checks off that, and I would support the option A.
Councillor Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Yeah, so I had a lot of concerns previously on the electronic voting. It's something that security-wise, I was not comfortable with in the way we've done it in the past. So I'm happy that staff has come back with an ID verification system, which does meet those security concerns for me. Given that, this is the way a number of companies do their business with, it's not necessarily multi-factor authentication, but it is actually ID verification to your likeness of your Ontario or Canadian credentials. Thank you. Sorry. So very happy that we have this option in front of us with as well the 3 on site during election day. I think that's very important. There's still a large piece of this population that does like to go in somewhere and cast their vote in person. And I think it's very important to allow those residents to do that as well. So I am happy to support this option moving forward.
Deputy Cabral.
Thank you. First chance. Can you hear me okay? Perfect. I just wanted to comment on the report itself. I think it embodies basically much of what my original concerns were with the aspect of no verification whatsoever when people were going to cast their remote vote. It doesn't alleviate all the concerns. There's still opportunity for coercion. There's still opportunity for malware attack. There's still opportunity for interception. But this goes a long way, I believe, to alleviating many of my concerns. I was very happy to see in the report itself, too, that Professor Essex was mentioned. One of his reports actually identified many of the drawbacks with the remote voting. So to understand that the criteria that he established has been put into this going forward certainly satisfies me in that respect. I certainly hope that in the future, maybe there'll be other opportunity to further enhance the credibility of the remote voting as well, but I'll support this. Thank you.
Councillor Fisher?
Just a quick note too. One thing that I personally like about this option is that it allows for many different types of voting. So hopefully it spurs increased voter turnout. You know, whether you're elderly, whether you're young, whether you're busy, whether you're retired, it does allow everyone to cast their vote. So I would certainly encourage everyone to utilize the method that best suits you and your lifestyle.
Councillor Garwood?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. And just to add to some of the comments on the table, a large portion of this matter has been focused on security, but also accessibility, and how we've spoken about how security and accessibility should be discussed in tandem, not separated, and one's not more important than the other. So when you think about the security aspects and those being addressed with this matter, I also see the accessibility, not only from a physical accessibility in the sense that from a geographical location, residents could vote anywhere. We also know accessibility measures include compatibility with screen readers, supportive for assisted technology, accessible text sizing and contrast settings. As we know, this would particularly benefit individuals with visual impairments or limited mobility, or even those that have other accessibility challenges. So it's an opportunity not only from a physical accessibility piece, but from a wide range. And I'm pleased to see that both are in tandem here. But additionally to that, we know back to the 2022 data, nearly 90% of Springwater residents cast their ballots via some form of remote voting. So I'm pleased to see the comments around the table, and pleased to see that we are listening to the 74% of respondents who were in favor of this option during our public consultation.
Councillor Moore?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Coughlin. Just to say that I am in favor of option one also. I'm pleased to see that the 3 locations are now being incorporated. So hoping one can be Snow Valley. I know you're not able to say that, but I'm going to say it. I'm hoping. And also that the accessibility piece, and I know that you do present an accessibility plan with your documents into Elections Canada. So thank you so much for that too. But I do think that this is the right route to go. Thanks so much for all the hard work that the clerk's department has done. And I know we sent it back a couple of times, but all hard work well worth it. Thanks.
Who did I have move in second? So at this time, I'll have Councillor Moore and Councillor Garwood, and option 1 is what I've heard to go forward. Is there anything further on option 1? Not seeing any. All those in favor? And that has carried. Do you want me to read? That was the amendment. So we're now back to the main motion, that the report from the deputy clerk regarding the 2026 municipal school board election alternative voting methods be received, and that option 1 be presented. Adopted, sorry. All those in favor? And that has carried. We are now moving on to our action reports, item 10.1. A mover and seconder for the action reports, please. Councillor Moore, Councillor Fisher. That action report items 10.2 through 10.11 be received, and that the recommendation contained therein be approved as presented. 10.2 is the award of the Homer Barrett Park accessible washroom facility. 10.3 is the Barrie Soccer Club loan guarantee agreement, authority to sign. 10.4 is the 2026 year-end holiday office closure. 10.5 is the part lot control exemption for Huron Creek. 10.6 is the part lot control exemption for the Elmvale Village Phase 1C. 10.7 is the renewal of the municipal insurance for 2026-27 of BFL Canada. 10.8, the 2026 Municipal and School Board Election Joint Compliance Audit Committee. 10.9 is the use of the corporate resources policy for the election campaign purposes. 10.10 is our governance review. 10.11 is substantial completion and security reduction request for Phase 1C of the Elmville Village subdivision. At this time, council, I'm going to ask if there's anything to be pulled for redirection. Any comments on any of the reports before us this evening? All those in favor? And that has carried. Moving on now to item 11, which is our information reports, and mover and seconder, please. I have Deputy Cabral. Sorry, I was just trying to get your name on the agenda. There we go. Deputy Cabral and Councillor Garwood, that the report items listed herein be received for information, and one, it's our local governance. Any comments or questions on this? All those in favor? And that has carried. And I'm not sure, Deputy Cabral, is there a county update this evening? We can roll it in all into one at the April 15th too. And you're muted. We'll just do it at the next one.
Yeah, just so you know, I'm switching between the Zoom
Right.
and the agenda so I can
Yeah.
try and follow, but no, next one would be much better. I've
Perfect.
a few things on my mind, to be quite frank.
Okay, thank you. Any municipal updates? Councillor Alexander? Your microphone.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. It's a short meeting and I still can't get it together. This Saturday, April 4th at 11 a.m., the annual Phelpston Community Recreation Association will be holding their Easter egg hunt. So if you have not yet, you do need to go online and sign up so the Easter Bunny knows how many treats to buy. But it is always a fun day, a fun morning, followed by a barbecue. So looking forward to that.
Councillor Garwood?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. First, I wanted to say thank you to staff for last Wednesday's town hall. I think this was our third town hall this term, something that we reintroduced, and I think we can continue to make progress in the information that we provide. So again, a big thank you to everyone that was involved in that. I know it's a lot of work and a big opportunity, but I think it's also an opportunity for us to be able to communicate information effectively to our residents. Just a couple other items. This past Friday, I had the opportunity for a couple years in a row now to attend the Simcoe County Municipal Challenge Fund Spiel on behalf of Township of Springwater. So myself and a couple members of staff went there. It was hosted in Midland. Had a lot of fun representing the township and also getting to connect with county colleagues from across the province or from across the county. We weren't last this year, which was great. So third overall, which is a much needed improvement from previous years. That's no slight to you, Councillor Thompson, but also something else that is pretty exciting is the Elmville Farmers Market will once again return in 2026. The first market Thursday will be Thursday, June the 11th at 3 p.m. The season will run until just before Labor Day on August the 27th. So there will be 12 weeks of market opportunity for the community to get to enjoy. And I also wanted to, last item, specifically highlight an event that's taking place not only in Elmville, but in our region on the weekend of April 11th. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of North Simcoe is hosting the Bowl for Kids' Sake event. I believe Penetang, Midland are also involved, and the third location is at Springwater Lanes in Elmville. So it's a great opportunity for folks to get to understand the initiative and the work and the service that organization does. It's really great to see their sponsorship is fully sold out. I believe they've pretty much sold out most of their teams. So it's nice to see the success, and that's a great fundraising opportunity for them to continue to put back into our community. They are making a big effort to ensure Springwater residents understand that Big Brothers, Big Sisters of North Simcoe exists and is a resource for our municipality. So excited to see that and get to support that initiative on the 11th.
Councillor Thompson?
The Enmil CRA is holding their annual Rabbit Run and Extravaganza on April the 4th, this coming Saturday. Registration is required. This is a premier event, and there's something for children of all ages. So please come out, bring your kids and your family, and celebrate Easter with us.
Not seeing anything further, we have moving on to our notices of motion, and this is being brought forward by Councillor Thompson and Councillor Moore. I'm not sure who, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Whereas the township has amended its property tax installment dates to be due on the last business day of the month, and whereas township policy directs that interest be applied to overdue accounts on the first of each month, and whereas property tax installments paid on the due date are often deposited in the township account after the due date because of the banking transfer delays, which result in penalties being applied to property tax accounts. Be it resolved that staff be directed to provide a report outlining the possible solutions to the application of interest charges on property tax accounts due to delay in banking transfers. So the genesis of this motion is that I received a couple of complaints from residents. I think Councillor Moore did as well, is they actually paid their property taxes on time at the bank. And because of the communication between banks, there was a delay, which incurred them to have penalties and extra fees on their taxes. And so our proposal is we'd like to send this back to finance and for them to find a solution so that this doesn't occur again in the future. I know other townships have a grace period to allow the banking transfers to take place because each bank does it a little bit differently. So hopefully that we can incorporate some kind of grace period. We'd also like to propose that those that were charged a fee because of this adjustment in our policy, that those fees be waived retroactive to January 1st, 2026.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you. And thank you, Councillor Thompson, for bringing this forward. I did also receive complaints. So I reached out to a colleague in Essa Township just to confirm. We had a recent change in policy here that this is the reason why this is coming out now that didn't occur before. So this is sort of a recent policy change. But my Essa colleague said that what they do is the due date for the current first installment, say for 2026, would be March 26th. They have penalties that are applied on April 1st. It's a grace period given to our residents for any processing delays by their banks. Any payments received on April 1st will get charged penalties. So other townships are doing this, and I believe we probably did something similar in the past. But due to this new policy change, we did have residents that were given penalties. So what I would like to do also is, I'm not sure if we require an amendment, clerk, to put the waiver, or at least put that on the table for a waiver to January. So folks that did incur penalties could either have those refunded or applied to their next tax bill, potentially, whatever is easiest.
Deputy CAO.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. The motion before council is to direct staff to provide a report outlining possible solutions. Within that report, staff can outline the potential of going back to January 1st for council's consideration within that report at the next meeting.
Follow on.
Thank you. So the report would come back on at the next meeting? Okay, so I'm fine with that. I think that a solution will be found. Thank you.
Deputy Cabral.
Actually, Clerk Ainsworth took the words out of my mouth.
Anything further on this notice of motion? All those in favor? And that has carried. And rather than doing an amendment to that motion, I believe at this time, Councillor Garwood.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. In conversation with the Deputy CEO before, I was going to provide an amendment, which I did advise Councillor Moore and Councillor Thompson, as it was their motion. But understanding from a procedure perspective, it's best to waive procedure and put this on the floor as a separate notice of motion. I would be requesting that Council waive procedure at this time so I can place this notice of motion on the floor.
This would be a motion without notice, so a seconder for the waiver. Councillor Fisher. All those in favor? That has carried, and I will turn back to Councillor Garwood.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Whereas residents who request a copy of a tax bill, statement of accounts, taxes, copy of utility bill, or statement of account utilities are currently charged a $15 reprint fee in accordance with the township's fees and charges bylaw. And whereas the township continues to promote paperless billing through the My Springwater online system, therefore, be it resolved that the fees and charges bylaw be amended to remove the reprint fee of $15, and further that the amendment bylaw be presented at the April 15th, 2026 regular meeting of council. Just in a nutshell, understanding that this stemmed from the direction that was provided earlier on. I see this as a customer service enhancement. This is something that I know many of us at the table have received a concern about over the years. Of course, we continue to hopefully direct folks or suggest to folks that they do utilize the My Springwater online system, as it is an easy and accessible way to access that previous history of information, billing, taxes, etc. And you wouldn't have to worry about physically getting a reprint. But I believe that we should enhance our customer service when possible, and something as a $15 fee. I'm hopeful council can be supportive of this initiative, similar to the one that we just supported.
Deputy Cabral?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Interesting that this has come up, but I would like to know through you, Mayor Coughlin, to I guess our finance, if there's somebody there, if not, maybe CAO, but we're talking about a reprint fee, which to me suggests that they actually got a paper copy originally. It's because if you get a digital copy, you'll be printing it off, as often as you want. So I just wanted some clarity on that, because it sounds like we're actually printed one, gave it to them, and somehow it's gone missing, and now they're asking for a reprint. Maybe it's too much money, but it does seem like staff do have to do it a second time. So just wanted to put that out there to see what staff can provide on the reprint and why it was $15.
And before I turn to our deputy CAO, just a seconder for the amendment or for the motion, please, Councillor Thompson. And I will turn to deputy CAO.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. That is exactly it. It would just be a reprint of any bill that had previously been issued by paper. There is the My Springwater that residents may sign up for, which provides paperless billing. In that circumstance, the resident, once they sign up, they are able to access future billing. It wouldn't be any retroactive billing. So anything prior to signing up for My Springwater would still need to be requested through township staff.
Thank you.
Not seeing anything further on this. All those in favor? That has carried. Are there any additional notices of motion this evening? Any items for future consideration? May I have a mover and seconder to approve the bylaws, please? Councillor Garwood and Councillor Alexander. That bylaw listed herein be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. 2006-023 Barrie Soccer Club Dome Loan Agreement. 2006-24 PLC 2006-002 Elmville Village Block 86 Plan 51M113. 2026-025 PLC 2026-003 Elmville Village Phase 1C Block 78 Plan 51M1132. 2026-026 is to appoint an interim clerk. 2026-027 is the alternative voting method. 2026-028 is the cyber, drone, and environmental liability insurance BFL Canada. Deputy Ainsworth.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. And just to confirm, on the agenda under item 15.6 for the alternative voting methods, there were two bylaws listed, just in the essence of time, depending on council's consideration. Based on the previous direction from council, the bylaw that will be adopted is identified as 2026-027A, being the one envelope system and ID verification. Once that bylaw is adopted, the A will be dropped and it will just be strictly 2026-027, just for clarification purposes.
Thank you. Any questions on the bylaws? All those in favor? That has carried. And a mover and seconder for the confirmation bylaw, Counselor Fisher, Counselor Thompson, that bylaw 2026-029 to confirm and adopt the proceedings of council at the regular meeting held on April 1st, 2026, listed here and be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. All those in favor? That is carried. And adjournment, please. I have Counselor Alexander and Deputy Cabral that the regular meeting of the Township of Springwater does now adjourn at 7:43 PM to meet again on regular session on April 15th, 2026 at 6:30 PM. All those in favor? And that has carried.
Thank you. Bye.